with the piles of diarrhea all over the place is concerning when I'm walking my dog. And part of the problem is there are a few houses on the Plymouth side of Lake Waddell that are massively feeding these birds. Now we have seagulls, ducks, the geese, and last week when I was walking Loki, someone, I never carry my phone with me when I walk, but someone came out with a bucket from this house with like a little scoop in it and was throwing the feed like right out on the edge of the lake to feed them. I mean, I love animals. I get that you want to provide food to them, but this is a problem, and now I'm really concerned about all of the piles of poop all over the place with this bird flu. So I mean, is there anything, like, can you guys maybe put out a one call and ask these people to stop feeding these birds, or have John start to find them for doing it?
Right, so I share your concern. I asked John to go out, not only just to your lake, all the lakes, make sure that, identify anyone putting feeders along the lake, because they got to know. There are feeders allowed up by the units, but anyone putting feed down by the lake bank, well, that's not allowed as well. I personally went and did the entire lake bank over there. I did take pictures. I didn't see any geese when I was out there, but there were a lot of ducks and a lot of seagulls out there. There was one area that is a concern of mine. It's closer towards the island. You can see on the lake bank that it's really torn up, so it would suggest that there's a lot of waterfowl in that area. I don't know if that's the area that you're speaking of, where someone may be putting something down, but no one was out there that day doing that, and I didn't see any seed down. So if anyone sees anyone out there feeding the waterfowl or anything along the lake banks or anywhere else, please let us know so we can address it. It's very hard to identify individuals when you're not seeing them doing it, and if they're not doing it directly in front of their homes, you can't really pinpoint who's actually involved.
Well, when I sent you that email, I think one of my concerns was, I'm not saying eliminate bird feeders, but I'm just asking if maybe the people that have them on the lake right in the front could move the bird feeders to the back. I mean, I even have someone in my neighborhood that's feeding the squirrels peanuts, and now that has actually caused the geese to come in on, when you turn onto Newcastle. Now the geese are walking up and down Newcastle. They're not even staying on the lake now because they know that there's food sources, right? Somebody's feeding them over there. And I don't want to be ratting my neighbors out for feeding the birds, but I am really concerned about my dog and this bird flu, so.
Thank you. Any other questions for Tom?
This is just a quick one, Tom, 622A again. Tom, the screen outside our hall has been non-functioning, gotta be a good 2 years. I keep asking, what's with the thing for the solar? I've asked one of the trustees, not once, not twice, but 3 times, get back to me or at least fix it. Okay, well, she's not here today, so I can't ask her, not to mention any names. But why is that screen that's supposed to tell us how much we're saving on the solar not functioning? I asked Joe, the custodian, he said, I used to have a password, but it doesn't work anymore. What is the problem?
Yeah, so they made some changes to the portal. Previously, you could see all the solar locations on one screen. We'll get it back up. There was changes to the portal, and the password had to be updated. So we'll get that. Once we get it up there, it's only going to show Dorchester, because you
I'd like to
can't.
see it functioning.
Well, like once
They're
again,
just put it up.
yeah. So it's only going to show one location. Previously, you would be able to capture all of our locations on one screen and their production, but because they did changes to the portal, it doesn't allow for that. You actually have to change from one screen to the next screen. So we'll get it up there, but it'll only show one location.
Why can't we have it do multiple locations? I know you just said it just does.
Yeah.
Well, we're paying for this. Why can we not get the full picture?
The portal that shows the information does not operate that way, and previously did. They made upgrades to the portal. You can go to each individual location and see the production, but it's not going to capture it on one screen any longer. So we'll have just Dorchester.
Well, since we have people in the office, can we not assign somebody to maybe change it once a week or bi-weekly? So we get the full picture.
You got to come down here physically and do it at the location here.
Okay, again, we have a custodian. Can that not be one of their tasks? I'm not saying every day. It's not an everyday necessity. But can we not get the full, I mean, what we paid Sandy Push this for how long, got it through, isn't this great? And here we are. So you can have the custodian as one of his duties, maybe change it once a week. Yes, you can. Okay, that's in the minutes, right? Okay.
Okay, moving on. Any committee reports? Tom?
Yes, February 11th is the next Safety and Security meeting. These meetings are important for the village. You can voice your opinions. If there's any safety and security problems in the village, we have to know about that. And you come and you tell us, and we'll straighten them out. That's why we have these meetings. When you only have 4 or 5 people in these meetings, you hear the same issues over and over every month. So you show up at these meetings. They're good meetings. Same thing with the Neighborhood Watch. Judy's not here today. That's the following week. Voice your opinions. If there's a problem, you bring it up. And these programs really work. If you come and you voice your opinions and say what's going on. Now I'm liaison for the ADR. That's a great program in this village. But if you don't, if you're not going to use it, you're complaining here, and we give you a program. We have reversed a lot of decisions with ADR in this village, and it's a good program. But people, they're too lazy to fill out the paperwork. If you have a problem and something's went wrong or went against you, you have a right to fight and you voice your opinion. That's what I tried to tell Joe. But some people you don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. He had the choice to do it. There is a time frame on it, and I think his time frame is up because I think this problem happened like 2 or 3 years ago. So, but you do have that program that you could voice your own opinion and try to reverse the problem. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Any other committees? Sandy?
I'd just like to, anyway, I'd like to thank Alice for her leadership on the committee that we're working with. We have someone in the village who is a certified trainer in OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Act. And it has to do with workplace safety. And as a result of her hard work with this particular person, we are having a training in February where all our maintenance people will be certified as OSHA prepared, which is a very good thing for our insurance, I think. And the other thing is that we will cut down on workman's compensation because everybody will know what they're supposed to be doing. So I thank, what's her name? Alice, I forgot her name. No. The woman who's doing the training. Danielle is doing this for free. It usually costs $150 a person. So I want to thank Danielle for volunteering for doing this. And I think we're really going to benefit from this training for our staff.
Thank you, Sandy.
Hi, is Lori Morrow, 235C. Just a comment about the ADR committee. I'm actually on the ADR committee, And it seems to me that people might think it's a kind of useless committee to go before, because once the ADR committee makes the determination, it's non-binding and then goes back to the trustees to make a final decision. Is there a way to make it binding? Because it just seems to me like it's a waste of time if it's not binding. The trustees have already imposed this fine.
I mean, I would say the majority of the time the board does go with the decision from the ADR. More often than not. But, you know, Greg can, sure.
Well, why have the committee if you're not going to take their determination? They're listening to all the facts, they're listening to both sides of the story, and that's something that you don't really get.
No, we see the same facts that you have. We weren't there, but, and we also have the liaison who's there with us in
Yes.
the boardroom.
You get the summary of it, and maybe the liaison's summary of what he heard or whatever, but you're not there. The whole board is not there to listen to the whole facts. So if the ADR committee being present has the most information, and if they're making a determination, why go against it?
So the concern is that under the Condo Act, ADR is non-binding, right? And the board,
Everywhere, always.
well, no, so both parties can agree to have a binding arbitration, right? The concern is that the board is ultimately responsible for the people in the association and have to serve the association in the best interest of the residents, right? So by delegating that to the ADR committee, they're potentially exposing themselves based on decisions that are made, because it's very difficult, if not impossible, for them to delegate away those types of powers and say, we're not responsible, we're not liable for decisions by the ADR committee, because the board is still the responsible entity for the association. Can't delegate it away to a committee like that.
Okay, but then I can see why people would think, well, why go with the ADR committee? The board is going to do whatever they want anyway. That's what I hear all
So
the time.
where I've seen that it has been binding, it's because the board members are there directly handling the ADR. And those are other communities, right? That's where it has been binding, because the board is there to hear it. They haven't delegated it to a committee and say, whatever you do, we're fine with. This is something still, again, the board is responsible for it.
Okay, well then why not have all the board members there?
I think that's the purpose of the committee, is to try to fetter out some of these claims.
And it's not binding, but you're saying it could be binding if the trustees were all there
Right.
and hearing all the facts.
Also, Lori, sometimes the board has access to information that may not be given to the ADR. Why?
Why would that
I'm
information-
talking to Miss Morrow, okay? Number one. Number two, we have access to regulations, we have access to issues. It's not hiding anything from anybody, it's what the board does. And if you make a determination and we have information to the contrary,
Well, I'm not talking about hiding anything, I wasn't even considering that, I'm just
There's-
considering the fact that why would you have information that you're not giving to ADR if ADR is making a determination?
So I'm not saying that it can never be binding and it'll never happen, right? I think it's still just a concern, because that particular issue, the board will have to look at for everyone, right? And so at the end of the day, the ADR committee is there for that particular issue. When the board makes a decision, they have to think about the other residents and the ripple effect of that and what that might mean. They're also getting guidance from me, right? So I can be the bad guy and say, here's the information. I'm used to it. Here's the law, here's what it says. You know, here's best practices from what we're seeing in the industry. I give the board all that information in their decision, and I mean, I do it to the ADR committee if they're privy with it. But these are long discussions that we have, right? That take a long time to come through.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there that my opinion is it should be binding, or else it's kind of just useless.
Thank you.
Berman, 156C Gramercy. Greg, when it's not binding, what is the difference between an ADR and a kangaroo court, if you know what that is?
So typically, non-binding alternative dispute resolution is a mediation, right? Both parties are heard and try to come up with some type of an agreement, even if it's just moving the needle a little bit and not resolving it completely. I don't know about kangaroo courts, but well,
You should.
I do know about them. But yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with that. But
Where I was going with that, I'll tell you. Whether you win or lose a decision in an ADR, it's still up to the board to decide what your fate is. That's a kangaroo court and a useless exercise of doing an ADR when they don't take the recommendation of the board, of the ADR. That's a kangaroo court. I see you nodding your head, so I'll agree with you, okay? Thank you.
Okay, John D. Moore again, 713C. Tom, I always agree with you. I do. I think having an ADR is a logical thing. There's also something called a complaint, too, right? A regular complaint? Yeah. Okay. But with an ADR, as we've seen in situations, even if the ADR agrees with the homeowner, it then goes up before the board. Now, what do we do if somebody like me wants to do an ADR, but it names Tom Haskell, Tom Claus, Judy Mapes, John Lindstrom, and the ADR board agrees with me? It then comes up to these people, and Tom Haskell, I'm sorry, 2 of your friends aren't here today. But what would happen if somebody filed a complaint or an ADR and it agreed with me and came up in front of the people, like Tom Haskell, who's smiling at me right now, because he knows how it would turn out. So just so you know, my friend, that ADR will be filed after you're gone and after Tim Ring is gone. So, don't appease me right now. Yeah, just like you did when we met.
So if I could respond.
No, I don't need you to respond. I just want to let the community know that yes, Tom is right. Tom Q is right. And ADR is a good thing. But then when it goes up to the board, and there's people on the board who get to make the final decision after an ADR board determined you were right. John, can I answer you? Hold on 1 second.
I think you're wrong in that decision because if it would involve
I'm sure you
myself,
do.
no, if it would involve myself, I would abstain from that decision.
What about everybody else that I just mentioned?
There's 6 individuals after me.
Say again?
There's 6 individuals after me. They choose to vote how they want to vote.
Right. Do you think it's fair?
You keep talking about the ADR. I have never not followed the recommendation of an ADR. So do you have an example?
I'm sorry?
I just said that I have never voted against the recommendation of an ADR.
I'm not saying you, but...
Okay, well, I'm asking you.
No, I'm just going
So
on...
can you give us the board an example of
No,
an ADR
because I
that
don't
wasn't?
follow the ADRs. Well, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Go ahead.
That's wrong. Right, you're wrong.
Wrong. We follow the recommendation of the...
Wrong.
Wrong.
If you read the full recommendation, you were right.
He couldn't be let back on the board. No, he was let back on the board. Immediately, not 2 months.
John, the
Yes, sir.
ADR, our final decision is not the final decision. You're allowed to go further and appeal the...
Oh yeah, we all have a few hundred or several hundred or a couple of thousand to spend on an attorney when we have a board right here that handles it. I don't want to overstay my time. I plan on talking a lot more later. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just explain. I think it's important just to explain what happened because he raised it. And the board wants me to talk about it, right? So, there was an ADR that was held for a trustee, Harvey Berman. The finding, right, that has nothing to do with your question probably, but still, I think it's important to just address it because I know it's something that people are kind of insinuating. The ADR found that Harvey breached the code of conduct, but the breach of the code of conduct did not rise to a level that adversely affected the membership such that removal was appropriate. That was the finding from the ADR, Matt Earl, who was acting as the arbitrator. That was the finding. The board took that recommendation I said, okay. Board is not going to go through and follow through with this removal proceedings. The board, however, suspended Harvey Berman for 6 months because of the breach of the code of conduct, which was found by the arbitrator. Harvey Berman subsequently resigned, as he's certainly entitled to do, submitted his resignation, which was accepted by the association. And that's what happened. The association accepted the findings of the arbitrator that he should not be removed, and he was not removed. He was suspended for 6 months, and that's what happened. Suspended 6 months with the amount of time served, we'll call it, but with the amount that he had already served while this was going.
If you get a favorable decision, I was talking about the 2 months suspension, is that correct?
No, I'm just going to go with my comment that was the findings of the arbitrator.
That's the way it works out. Never mind. Thank you.
You may have forgotten, I'm Letty, 3070 Cambridge Court, and I want to address the ADR. I think it's a valuable tool. I came in front of the ADR with Cindy, who I exploded at a craft fair, and I was accused of saying the F word, which I don't think I did, but the witnesses said I did. And at my particular hearing, Tom was there, the witnesses came up and they said, I said what I said, and I was out of control. Which is, you know, when you're on that end of it, nothing's out of control. I'm merely stating my case. And then when Cindy got up and she testified, I sat there, liar, she's lying, she's lying, she's lying. And she gave one sentence and I said, oh my God, she's not lying. I did this and I'm wrong. I was thrown under the bus by a person I thought was a friend, so I was behaving on somebody else's say-so, something somebody else said. I apologized immediately to her, to the witnesses for having to drag them into it, and I apologized to everybody on that ADR, and I had to, because it was on me. I did do it. I think what happens is people don't like the outcome of the ADR. If it's not in your favor, they're not going to like it. And they're going to stay in that mode. Unless they're willing to compromise. Yes, I did do it. That was the important thing here. Cindy and I are bosom buddies now. But when before, I would have taken her out and made her eat cement. But I owe that all to the ADR, because I would never have learned that if I hadn't heard everybody's take on it. Now, whether or not that goes to the board, I mean, that the ADR should be binding, I don't think is correct. I think it should go to the board, because the board has to be the final word. All they're reading, I'm telling you, you know what you do. All they're doing is reading whatever took place in that meeting. So it's just really as if they had been there. And they're basing their judgment on what transpired at that ADR. So I don't think, it would be nice if the ADR was binding, because it would be helpful for the people bringing the complaints and the people who are wrong, seeing. But I don't see the problem with it going to the board. I just wanted to say that I think that the ADR is a valuable tool here, and that's why.
Thank you.
Sharon Wagner, 684A Plymouth Drive. I actually came up here to ask Tom Q a question about ADR, but now I'm absolutely infuriated about this whole Harvey situation, because I was a witness at his ADR, and I've been the recipient of the shadiness that goes on with these ADRs, okay? Tim Ring has a personal vendetta against me and brought a disorderly conduct charge against me. I went to an ADR, brought 2 witnesses, I won that ADR, and then I get a letter in the mail 2 weeks later from this board telling me we don't accept the decision of the ADR committee. What's the point then? Seriously, You knew I wasn't gonna take you people to court. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous what was done to this man who has the best interests of every resident in this community, the only one. And I'm gonna tell you something, don't bother to run this year, Tom, and tell Tim don't bother, because you're not gonna win. He is gonna get a seat back on this board, and I hope he becomes president. Tom, let me just ask you a question, please. I have to now file an ADR against a neighbor for a year and a half that's terrorizing our community with an off-leash dog. I've been with John, I've given John pictures of at least 8 occasions of this situation. It's escalating, and now I'm being told I have to file an ADR against him to get him to obey the rules in here. He doesn't want to move his truck when it snows. He doesn't abide by any of the rules. If I go through filing to have an ADR with this man, who's wacky, the police are on our street routinely because he beats his girlfriend, he's touched my property, left notes under my windshield wipers on my car. So I'm really gonna feel like, I gotta be worried about this dude when I file this ADR. So now if I file this ADR and he doesn't show up, what's the outcome of that?
Usually you don't show up.
So why am I filing an ADR if he's not gonna show up? Because he's not. And how do we go about getting him to obey the rules?
Asking the question, why isn't this problem being solved? Because, if he's violating the rules of the village.
Right, but he's gotten one fine for 8 times.
I'm saying he's been fined.
I believe I know which one.
I can't hear you.
I'm not going to give out the address, but I'm pretty certain I understand which unit you're referring to, and that one has been issued numerous violations and fines. So, my opinion, if the issue is continuing and your complaint comes to the board may direct council to do further enforcement.
Well,
That could avoid that whole ADR conflict or potential conflict that you're concerned about.
Okay, I last week came in, his dog bolted towards Loki and I again. And I don't carry my phone because my dog is reactive to bicycles and golf carts, so I have to have 2 hands on my dog's leash. I can't stop to film somebody that's breaking the rules. So John is telling me unless you have proof of every single time this happens, I can't do anything. Okay, I've submitted proof 8 times. This dude has told me he's only gotten fined once, and he left your letter from the board and from you under my car with the threat that said, if you continue to harass me, the next person you're going to hear from is my attorney. That's what I had to deal with. I had to call the police. Now, and then John put a camera in the tree for 2 weeks, and that happened to be the 2 weeks that he didn't let his dog off leash. But this is a routine thing in this neighborhood. This guy is an awful character, and, I don't understand why nothing's being done, and he's telling me he only got 1 fine for 8 times that he got caught. I'm not gonna file paperwork for an ADR and have to go sit in the boardroom if he does show up with this guy and nothing's still gonna be done.
So the only thing I suggest, Sharon, is to continue to communicate with Tom and let Tom and John try to do what they can to find more proof so we can provide more fines or something. I mean, without some of the, we all understand what you're saying, but without some of the proof, there's not much we can do.
Tom, his dog is nasty, and we've already had 1 dog killed over there as a result of another dog that I complained about a long time ago that attacked my other dog. I don't understand how hard it is to get these people you put these rules in place. I mean, it's one thing to come up here to the field across from Dorchester and let your dog run loose. It's another thing to be walking on the sidewalks like this guy is not getting what a dangerous situation he's creating for other people with dogs. Something's got to be done.
Point noted, Sharon, thank you. Any other committee reports? I guess we're done. Just go over the numbers. So Judy, who's out ill, she just asked me to read the numbers for the treasurer's report for you. In our reserves accounts with Ameriprise, we have $3,427,479.27. Checks written in the month of January were $326,445.48. Our collections, delinquencies 0 to 30, we have 140 as of the 31st of this month. 31 to 60, we have 6, and 61 plus days, we have 107. And that concludes the treasury report. Vice President's report.
We are looking to set up a meeting for an informational presentation on, I don't know if you've all heard, there's been a big change in the Anchor program, where the Anchor and the Senior Freeze will be one application. It's a big change, and Cindy and Lori have been able to talk to people at the county who are willing to come here to do a presentation on the change, so we're all aware of how the application has to be done. Also, we are in the process of setting up a specific YouTube channel for Leisure Village. It will sort of hopefully take the place of CCTV, which Optimum has seen fit not to produce for us anymore. And Benji and the media committee is working on setting that up. And we will be able to present information on YouTube, especially during snow events, or if there's an emergency, or if there's really important information. You'll be able to go to the YouTube channel specifically set up for Leisure Village.
Thank you.
Cindy, 218A. I've already spoken to Phyllis today. We are going to try and get a date for March for that, and then we're handing it over to the Special Events Committee, because they've already been they did it last year. They had AARP, they had Senior Services here doing the information about the senior freeze, so we're going to continue it again. But I want to thank Lori Morrow. We brought that here with the Civics Club, and we had the Civics Club. So we will continue to have them here every year.
It's a New Jersey tax freeze for seniors that you have to apply for through your municipality.
But you have to live here for a certain amount. You have to own your own house for a certain amount of time. 3 years. So that's what they're here for.
If you come to this program,
that's why they're going to be here to explain everything to you. Yeah, so please look for that. I'll create a flyer.
President's report, I don't have any right at this time. Can I have a motion to open it up for questions and answers? We're good. All right. Open questions. Anybody like to come up to the mic?
Harvey Herman, 156C Gramercy. Phyllis, this is for you. Phyllis? I was just wondering, are you taking the minutes for this meeting?
So it is being recorded, and as all
It's being
minutes-
recorded.
And as all minutes are done for these meetings, Lois transcribes them, and then
What determines whether a meeting is recorded or written?
they're always written. The open meetings, quarterlies, the special meeting, nominating meeting after this, the end of the year meeting, the election, those are all done. They're published in the newspapers, Lois transcribes all of those.
And board meetings? In the boardroom? that are
Executive
done.
sessions are
Those
done.
are those recorded or are those written?
They are done separately, as needed, as needed.
I see that it is Mr. Haskell allocating everything that you said. Good. So here's my question.
So you will see published the open meetings, your quarterlies, your yearlies, your elections, as needed, those are always done. They're
And-
there for review, they get voted on just like they did at the last open meeting. They're signed off by your secretary, and then they are published.
So what you're saying, there should be minutes for the meeting in early September where I was off the board. Where are those minutes?
Again, the published meetings are your opens, your quarterlies.
You're not telling me where the minutes are for the
Those
meeting
are-
that I was suspended. That's what I want to
Those are your
know.
published meetings,
Okay.
okay?
Are you telling me this was an unpublished meeting, that there are no minutes?
Again,
Okay, does somebody else, okay, Greg, please be my guest. I'm sorry I badgered you, Jen, but you're the one who takes the minutes and I had to start there.
again, those minutes are all done by Lois.
So,
and they're
so what I'm hearing is you did not take minutes for that meeting, is that correct?
No.
Okay,
So,
who did?
Closed session meetings are not distributed to the membership, they're held by the board.
Oh, is that the answer you decided to come up with? Does it not say in the Radburn Act that minutes for all meetings have to be available to the homeowners? Does it, or does it not say that?
No. Often closed session meetings, meeting minutes contain private privileged information. They would not be disseminated to the membership. Open meetings where decisions are made by the board must be publicized.
A meeting where a board member is suspended would be a meeting that would necessitate minutes if it actually took place, because the homeowners have a right to know what happened at that meeting. So I will ask you again, where the minutes are for that meeting? Did that meeting actually take place? In your letter to me, it said that it was a unanimous vote. Who was there voting? Why wasn't I there? In a violation of our bylaws, there was no advance notice of this meeting. And without any minutes, you have no proof that meeting took place. So I ask you again, where the minutes are for that meeting, or you're in violation of the Radburn Act, period. Thank you very much. That's the same answer that was given to the arbiter, by the way, at the ADR. Okay, the dog ate the minutes. Very good. Yes,
I
Mr.
think
Haskell.
in regards to those minutes, we'll make sure that Greg sees them, okay?
I'm sorry.
If he can't recall them right now, I'll make sure that Greg sees those minutes, yes.
Please do. I'd like to see a copy. I think I have a right to.
Well, that's up to the attorney. He'll make that decision.
Sure. I think it would be good because they don't exist.
And that's worse than anything on what you guys did. That's railroading. That's penalty act, railroading. And that's what you did. And that's worse than anything on that's.
Good morning, Bill Wells, 408 Portsmouth. I'm not sure which member this is addressed to. It's concerning motorcycles, which can be a big issue here, I'm sure. I've only been here 2 years. My first year, you can rent a spot in the maintenance yard to park a motorcycle. I don't know if anybody's been back there lately. It's a real shithole, I'm sorry. The spaces aren't really big enough either. And now this year, it was raised to $200. That's a lot of money to park in a little space. I understand that.
That's for the year, right?
Yes, for a year. I understand that that's been a rule forever here, that no motorcycles, which is a little obsolete. But a question for the attorney, and I'm not trying to step on any toes, is that legal? To say, can they stop you from bringing in a vehicle to a place you buy? And then there's no place to park. because we were parking at the gate, and there's only like 8 of us in the village that have a motorcycle. You know, I bought this house because it's got a garage, and I was gonna put my motorcycle in the garage. Now it's in South Palms River. But, you know, that just becomes a pain in the neck when you want to get up. You don't want to get on, you know, you don't want to have to go 20 miles to get on your motorcycle to take a ride and then come back and then drive all the way back. I would just like to get with someone beyond this meeting and just speak about something. I got a lot of things to say about that. And emails, I couldn't begin to type all that. Is there anyone that, or who is the one that I could sit down and talk to sometime and just get this all off?
I mean, we would definitely invite you to a meeting if you'd like to come in and speak to the board. That's not a problem. I mean, I think the issue with the motorcycles was the noise issue. You know, just starting the bikes, you know, certain bikes, obviously, you being a bike owner, you know, that some people may have it difficulty with. So, but by all means, you know, you can maybe talk to Tom and we can discuss where you can just come in for like 15 or 20 minutes, you know, and talk to us, that's all.
I mean, even just letting us park at the gate was great for the summer. And in the winter, we get rid of it. And that's what happened this year, but I don't know if moving forward, they're gonna let us park there, you know, just come this spring.
Me personally, I think the gate is a good area for that.
Right. I mean, also, I understand the noise issue, but speed limit here is only 25 miles an hour. I've been riding the bike forever. I don't care what kind of pipes you have on your motorcycle, whatever. At 25 miles an hour, you can keep the noise down lower than half the trucks that ride in this village. And we're not, you know, we're not a gang members. We're just old people that like to ride our motorcycles.
I think part of the issue is, since they've been doing the construction down in the yard, things have sort of been in upheaval, so,
Well, that was my next question. The people that work there, I know quite a few of the employees, they don't even want to park in there because of nails and screws, and it's just a mess back there. I also heard through the grapevine, and I don't know how true this is, that when that project is complete, it might be on the table that you're going to get rid of all recreational vehicles and parking there. I'm just saying that was through the grapevine.
No, we haven't spoken about that, no. In fact, we're still working on expanding the parking behind here for those specific vehicles, to try to get them out of that area.
Right, okay. That would be a help, because that's where motorcycles go also. All right, thank you very much.
So, so we'll contact Tom, okay, if you don't mind, and
Where's Tom?
Our manager.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Like I said, I've only been here 2 years. This is the first meeting I ever made.
We'll see where, you know, based on, you know, maybe your time frame, I don't know if you're available during the days or, you know, at night or whatever, but we'll work something out and we'll have a discussion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, John Demore, 713C. I'm here to make a comment. I don't need to have any conversations. If anybody on the board wants to converse about this, you all know my email address, you all know my phone number. Let's set up a meeting. My comments are directed at Tom Hasko and any board member who sees themselves aligned to him. Several months ago, Judy Mapes and Tom Hasko each assured me that they were outraged that compliance officer John Linstra told me to go fuck myself after a board meeting when I apologized to him for saying he was inept. What made it even worse is that he said it standing among the other managers. Then he bragged about it to his cronies at the Buckingham Administration Office the following morning. How do I know this? Because I have a recording of an office employee admitting he did it. Besides my recording of Linstra saying it to me in the first place. All I wanted was an apology from him, an employee of OLV, for saying go fuck yourself
to a dues-paying homeowner. The day after I spoke to Mapes and Haskell, I was told to meet with Haskell and Tom Claus to resolve the matter. On the phone, Haskell assured me Linstra was wrong and the matter would be resolved. I waited outside for Haskell, outside the administration building, shortly before the meeting. When he arrived, he refused to speak to me and rushed inside to meet with Tom Claus. When I was finally allowed in, Haskell was deceitful and did absolutely nothing in my defense, regardless of the documentation I presented. I was told they would look into the matter. That was 6 months ago. Nothing has been done since, nor has Haskell responded to any of my concerns. Oh, and that meeting was also recorded until Haskell said he refused to speak and would end the meeting if I continued to record it. Isn't that right, Tom? Or are you just going to stand and sit there? So much for his concern about the homeowners. I've communicated with Haskell on a few occasions in which I detailed this matter and his refusal to comment or do anything about it. I've even called him a liar, didn't I, Tom? I, like many of us, learned a long time ago that when you call someone a liar who is truly innocent, they'll defend themselves. Tom Haskell knew he had no facts to defend himself with, so he couldn't say and has never said a word in his own defense to a resident he supposedly represents. Where we come from, when a person can't defend themselves after openly being called a liar, that's because they know they lied. That is not the kind of person that should be on our board, much less be in charge of it. Let's remember, Haskell holds the same job in another community as Tom Claus has in ours. Any idea who he'll protect and defend? Certainly not a resident who goes against those he relates to. Because of that, Tom Haskell, Judy Mapes, Tom Claus, John Linstra, and anyone on this board that sides with Haskell, it's you who are the DEI people. Deceptive, evasive, and inept. If anyone should have resigned from this board, it should not have been Harvey Berman for being unjustly removed from it. It should be Tom Haskell and any of those who've aligned with that smiling man right in front. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. So I'll be glad to. I'm going to make my comment. I'm going to make my comment now. Okay. So.
Yeah. What do you want to do it in your office?
No, actually.
You don't want to because you don't want to be recorded.
No. What I find is you're a man, okay, who got into an altercation, a physical altercation in front of this community, okay, who likes to think that that's okay.
No.
Who likes to think, no, I'm talking.
I apologize for it.
Oh, you think because you apologize, things are okay. All right? As always. And that's what you look for, okay? I find you to be a sorry individual.
That's it. I find you to be an asset.
Move on. Sorry, I thought to give him his moment, so he's...
Oh, no, you should respond. I don't even know how to follow up with that, but my name is Mary Ann. I belong to the Pickleball Club. I live at 538C Portsmouth Drive. And recently, on a random Saturday, my pickleball president was told, well, I've got to back up a little bit more, some facts. Pickleball meets on Mondays and Fridays from 5 to 9 to closing. And we have a team reach out and we keep in communication. And we were given additional time by activities. And recently, they were abruptly taken away from us with very little explanation to my president of the club. The pickleball community is becoming larger and larger, so now on Mondays we also teach, and we're waiting to play on the courts, basically. We had a really nice opportunity on Saturday and Sunday. The hall was empty, the nets were set up, we were playing, we were meeting each other, had a good sense of community, camaraderie, and when it was taken away from us, nobody told us why it was taken away from us. So my one question, without getting into too much minutia of this, is why did you take the additional time away from us?
So I think I tried to explain that in an email, maybe, but primarily between the staff, okay, and between some of the comments that the pickleball provided, there were complications, there were problems, there was communication issues, okay? The board felt that, okay, 2 days a week, just like any other club, we would stick and make sure that the pickleball club had their 2 days. The additional days became issues because at some time there's events, so there's a lot going on between the staff, and there seemed like there was issues with the pickleball club getting a little aggravated at somebody didn't let somebody know something or this or that. So the board felt that it was much simpler to say, hey, pickleball club can have their 2 days, the activities committee can take care of the courts, or take care of the room and schedule whatever else they need scheduled. So that's pretty much the reason why.
So my pickleball president will piggyback on my comments, but nothing was made transparent to the club. And actually on the weekends the hall was empty and the nets were set up and we were told we couldn't play. It was like putting a diabetic in a candy store, basically. So it was really insulting to see the nets up and we weren't able to play. I just disagree with the board that they could make just a flat-out decision like that without any transparency or communication to us, the pickleball community, meaning me and my fellow pickleballers.
I emailed somebody specific.
Yeah, you did. So she's going to piggyback on that, my president.
Me again, 622A. I have a question and I have a suggestion. Regarding the ADR situation, I've been on the ADR committee. I was one of the witnesses to the recent one, and I would like to suggest, it does seem a little stilted when the ADR committee makes a decision, a recommendation, sends it to the board, and the board goes, yes, no, okay? I think when we have an ADR and it involves an outside mediator, which this one did, Harvey's did, the village attorney was there, an outside mediator was there, he decided in favor of Harvey. He said, yes, he did violate the ethics agreement, however, it did not do irreparable damage to the board. That's supposedly why you suspended him, and all the other counts, he agreed with Harvey. So now, I read the decision, I was there, I heard what was said. I think when we bring in an outside mediator or an arbitrator, their decision should be final. Not, here's what I agree, all those hours we were there, 2-3 hours, it should be out of the hands of the board, and it should be the decision of the mediator or the arbitrator. That's my first comment.
It's a good point. In this instance, the board did follow the recommendations from the arbitrator and did not seek further removal proceedings.
Oh, they tried to. They tried to.
No.
Yeah, they did. Did they not offer you a longer suspension, Harvey?
They offered me another 2-month suspension, which in effect is like being thrown off the board for another 2 months.
2 months, so...
It does not follow the recommendation of the auditor.
That's my point.
It does.
No, it didn't. If you read the thing entirely, it doesn't.
Kathy, you know what was important, and I don't know how everybody else thinks, but you know, when I signed a piece of paper, when I signed a code of conduct, I stick by that. okay? The board needed to set precedent going forward, whether it's this board, future boards, or whatever. If somebody violates the code of conduct, you know what? They should be suspended for 6 months. We were asked, every board member, does anybody think it should be less, or should it be more?
That's not my point.
No, but the point is,
My point is, take it out of the hands of the Board of Trustees. When you bring in an outside arbitrator, not connected to the village, not friends with anybody, another attorney, take it out of the board's hands. Whatever the mediator or the arbitrator suggests needs to go forward, not 7 people who weren't even in the room. That's my point. That's the point I'm making. My second thing is, I'm hearing rumors, little noise, that the board is thinking, talking, considering doing something with the area back here behind Dorchester Hall, down from the parking, maybe more parking, put the recreational vehicles down there. I would like to see, and I've been on the board, so I know you talk about a lot of stuff in the board meetings. What about this, what about that, what about, why don't you check this, and what about that? I would like to see some discussion before you go too far down the road on some projects like this. Say to the people, what do you all think? What if we did this? What if we put more parking there? What if we moved all the recreational vehicles down there? When you start talking about these things, when you have enough information, you say, this is what we're thinking. So that these people out here who are paying for all of this can go to a board member and say, are you crazy? Why would you do this?
let's try to limit to 3 minutes, please, okay?
I think it's a good, no, I'm finishing my point. I think it's a good idea. It's not even up there. I just think people need to know more about what people on the board are considering before you even do a resolution. That's what I'm thinking.
Harvey Herman, 156C, Gramercy. I just wanted to read something to you.
We've already heard from you.
That's great. Complaints of privacy and confidentiality shall not be used to impede the proper flow of information to which the owners are legally entitled. That's what I did, and even though I won the ADR for that, you still, and you're right, Glenn, they did what they could. Okay, they could knock me off the board because of the ruling, but they could suspend me. However, that was in poor taste, considering what I did was nothing compared to getting railroaded off the board. Okay, you still can't prove that you had a meeting to suspend me in the first place.
So you think that it's okay to violate the code of conduct? You don't think
I don't think I did. If you read the ADR decision, you'll find that, listen, if you read the, I'm being serious, if you read the ADR decision, you'll find that 2 of the things that I put on the media were actually to the advantage of the owners, okay? If you read it, I'm not sure you read it, but I certainly didn't deserve another 2 months suspension for what I did. I think not having a meeting, saying you did, and not having minutes to it is a lot worse. Being railroaded is a lot worse. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Mark.
I'd like to personally speak to it. But
Geraldine Crokendale, 549B Sheffield Court. I am the president of the pickleball club.
One second.
So I can tell you that the board decided that we would go 100% with the decision of the arbitrator. And that was what we did. There was information leaked about the union negotiations, which could have had an adverse effect on our ability to effectively negotiate the contracts. And that was the big decision that
And
caused
that was
us.
addressed, wait, that was addressed at the ADR. And thank God.
It was addressed at the ADR, and it said that even though that the negotiations were still underway, it could come back and bite us.
And it hadn't even started. That's to that point. And thank God this clause was very truthful in his answer when he put his hand on and said, I will tell the truth and sworn in. Because that was at the very beginning, negotiations had started, where I said had no effect on those negotiations.
That's false.
And that's true.
The negotiations were already
I don't know who you were talking to, but that's
All right.
not true.
I was on Zoom, thank you. I was on the Zoom call, so you're wrong. You think you're always right, and you're not.
All right.
It's okay.
The negotiations are still in Still a negotiator.
Next.
I own here. And I have more of an interest in this facility than you do. Yeah. I have 3 residents, 3 family members here.
Okay, next.
Talk to me whenever you want. I'll set you straight.
Sorry, go ahead.
Carolyn Provenzale, 549B Sheffield Court, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am the president of the Pickleball Club. I was told that our extra time was suspended because we complained. I complained about, I addressed this a couple of times, and Judy, who was not here, I said, you know, this board set up the system we were using, and it's delightful. It worked fantastic. I got emails I discussed with Jennifer. She gave me availability dates. We used them, and I sent all of you our December schedule. You saw it. Now, that schedule was out early in December. If there was an issue with scheduling, there should not have been a problem with Frankie emailing Jen back right away saying, Jen, this is not correct, because also on that email was the craft fair. The craft fair is on a Saturday morning. We play Friday nights. In that email, Jen said, gee, I'm not sure, what do you think, Frankie? I emailed Jen back and said, I'm certain the guys will not have time Saturday morning. So yeah, I don't expect that we will be playing. I will list the hall as not available that day. Pickleball enjoys a lot of activities here. When something is going on, we're usually at that activity when we don't have the hall to play. We're involved in this community, we're active in this community, and when this hall is empty and there are nothing else going on, there is no reason that we can't be in here. And if you don't think that we need to be informed of any changes, fine. But this is our hall. The people in this village own this hall, not Frankie. The people of this village own this hall. And if he had read those emails, maybe this could have been avoided. And like I said to Judy, he has a little bit of an attitude. She said, oh, he does. She says, oh yeah, Frankie does have an attitude. So these are her words. So this is what people are saying. We tell you one thing, you come back from it, you talk out of both sides of your mouth, make a decision based on fact. Not hearsay, not rumor. I have heard all kinds of rumors about why we got stopped playing. Who do you talk to? Talk to us. Yes, we were upset and annoyed. People made plans and they make schedules, and I don't think we were asking for anything more than anyone else. I addressed Tom last Sunday and said, gee, Tom, if something happened this morning and you couldn't have your music showcase here, do you think somebody would have called you? Yes. Okay, that's all I asked for. But if it's too much trouble, we'll live with it. But we should be in this hall when nothing else is going on, and there's no reason at all for us not to be.
So I know you say you should be your pickleball club, but what about all the other clubs? Shouldn't they have the
They're not
opportunity?
when there is something else going on, I said that already. When something else is scheduled for this hall, more times than not, you see us attending it. And that's the way it goes. But when there is nothing scheduled for this hall, there is no reason it can't be open to us.
Okay, so let's do this. Why don't you contact Tom? Okay, you are another representative. You can come in. You can speak to the whole board, and we can talk about this. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. I appreciate all the feedback, and we'll definitely set up a time where we can speak. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Gene Lineberg, 352A. For the first time in years, I made a New Year's resolution, and that was to not be as sarcastic as I usually am when I address the board. First of all, Phyllis, I'd like to say thank you publicly for going out of your way and following up from my complaint, the last open meeting, to the emails on Friday. Thank you. It was very nice for you to follow up, but it was even nicer for you to communicate your results. Communicate. That's all that I've heard all day long. You don't communicate with us. First of all, to correct you, Tom, you did see the email. I have a red notification from December 20th. Both you and Sandy were the only two people that did read the email. No one else read it. So that was there, and I did resend it after you asked me to, regarding the road conditions.
Well, I appreciate that.
Now, going back to communications, we, the homeowners that elected Harvey, were kept in the dark for months why he was not a member of the board that we elected him to. And you still have not told us why. Okay, yes, there's confidentiality things that, and now we're hearing that he broke I'm sorry, I forgot your term.
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct, thank you. We have the right to know why our elected member is not sitting at that damn board for months. And all that we ask is for you to communicate. Tell us things, whether it's about Harvey, whether it's about upcoming things or change. We don't know them because you don't tell us. And when you do, half the time they're wrong, or they're half-truths.
I do think out of respect for Harvey, we were keeping it private because we were going through a process. And I don't think it would have been right to go and talk about this.
It would have been right to say, hey, your elected official is not going to be serving because there is something happening. You didn't say that. None of you said that. We just saw an empty chair there for months.
So there was a resolution that was passed by the board regarding that.
Yeah. It was, what did it say? It said that Harvey is not going to be sitting at the board. Did it say why? Did it say why our elected person wasn't there? No. 6 people decided that our elected official.
Look,
Tom, I resent what you just did.
No, I'm doing it to the agenda.
I don't give a shit.
Oh, there goes your New Year's resolution.
You're right. It didn't last long, did it, Sandy? No, I didn't think it would. I'm done.
All right, so just to respond, I did advise...
Please communicate. Go ahead.
I did advise the board not to discuss this matter because it was obviously private, right, and sensitive. And there was a lot of things that were still being discussed and resolved behind closed doors. So I think out of fairness to Harvey, and really under what the Condo Act says regarding in-house staffing, board member issues, it's not something that needs to be disclosed in the open session. And when the time came to initiate removal proceedings, that decision was made in the closed session, and then it was subsequently approved in the open session, which you heard it, and the resolution was approved by the board.
Okay, I accept that. But on every other matter, on every other matter, communicate. You tell us to send you emails, we send you emails, not one reply from one of you. Not one, ever, to me.
I received an email from you, and I just checked, it's still not there. So, I don't know who you're sending it to.
Okay.
I've read every email that's ever been sent to me. And there's several people I'll tell you. I've responded to them all.
I'll check it and talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you. Is anybody else with any other questions?
Sharon Wagner, 684-8 Plymouth Drive. I just want to be really clear for the people that are at home that are going to watch this tomorrow. This all came about because Harvey is a member of my reality page. And I had put up a post about the increase of the maintenance fee because we all know I have a source in...
Sharon, I really don't want to rehash this.
No, I'm just going to make a statement. I'm making a statement in behalf for Harvey. So what ended up happening was people want transparency from this board, and we're sick of not getting it. So he's on my page, and someone asked if the maintenance increase, which was
Sharon, I'm not going to go through this again.
$40.
I'm not
No,
gonna go
I'm
through it
good,
again.
because this benefits him, and
That's
that's
fine.
what you don't like.
No, what benefits him is he should.
I need
buy
one
my-
more second to say what I'm going to say, Tom, okay? He answered questions for people on my page like a good trustee would,
I can look it over
in
and see if those
favor
first
of the
made next
residents
year.
knowing what's going on in here. And that's how this came about, because you didn't like that he answered those questions. But he was providing the transparency that we've been begging for years from this board. And that's why I got punished.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
Bill Bishop, 181B Sterling Court. This is just a point of information. A good friend of ours in the pickleball club, George Chapman, had a serious health issue last week. He's now back at home and he's under medication. And just to ask not only the board, but the membership to say prayers for him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is the last question for today.
Anyway, Annette Fitzmar, 60A. Just to sort of concur with this idea of communication and everything too. I've been here 10 years. I go to all the meetings, monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, safety, security, regime rep. And over the years, I think when asking questions and trying to find out things, the prevailing thought is that lack of communication. And I think maybe we get an idea of trying to hold things from us. Some things, you know, you do, you have to for certain reasons. But I think maybe that was part of the thing, from what I understand, you know, with Harvey, from what I read. And I think that maybe, for instance, even today, we were talking about something was addressing the attorney. That you're not covering, what was it, the money that we're supposed to be getting back from it's another law firm, right? So something simple as that, without somebody like asking a question, why isn't things like that put forward right away from you? And over the years, the 10 years, I've noticed those things. I had asked like years ago, at 2 meetings, way years ago, about the money, are we getting money back from the fire that we had in the service area? And just different answers, and finally something came out, oh, that's kind of the reason why we're not hearing. So I think that's part of it, so that if you could be more communicative, maybe some of these things wouldn't be brought on. I think maybe Harvey or anybody else was trying to seeing that we're seeking out, we're trying to get information, but for something that you didn't think was right or wrong. I'm not going to tell you about the whole thing, but I think that was part of it, just so that the owners here would know more. We didn't have to pull it out of you like pulling teeth. Any of the boards, this board, other boards, I've been here 10 years, you know, going to all these boards, you say, well, why didn't they tell us that? Why didn't we know about that? For instance, today, why it had to be like an extra question as to what law firm was handling us getting, you know, the almighty money back, which we're all looking to get back, because that's what we need here. So that's my just comment here.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion from the board to adjourn the meeting? Motion from the membership, sorry. Alice? Second, Cindy? Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Secretary's report. So our attorney will give the procedure for trustees elections.
All right, so there are 4 seats that are up for election this year. The 1 seat, which is currently vacant, will be appointed, and then whoever receives the lowest amount of votes at that election will serve the remainder of that currently vacant seat. The other 3 seats will serve regular 3-year terms. This will ensure that it remains staggered. The meeting is set for March 29th. Quorum is 1/5 of the total number of units, and That's it.
Thank you.
The appointed seat, there's one appointed seat, and for how long is that term?
There's a current vacant seat which the board will appoint somebody to serve until the election on March 29th. Harvey Berman's seat is vacant. No.
No, Harvey resigned.
He resigned, so that seat is vacant. The board, under the documents, has, yep, and then they will serve the remainder of that term, which I think is 2 years left on that term. And then everyone else will serve 3-year terms.
But there is 4.
There's 4 total, yes.
All right.
So, screening committee? Alice Slaughter?
This report is being presented to the Leisure Village Board of Trustees as stipulated in the Leisure Village Bylaw, Article 5, Section 2, to approve the proposed candidates for the office of trustees. The committee report setting forth the names and qualifications of the candidates shall be presented to the sitting Board of Trustees at a special nominating committee meeting. Described in Article 3, Section 2A.3 of the bylaws. The following candidates have met the qualifications enumerated in the Leisure Village Bylaws, Section 3, Article 3, Section 2AI. A member in good standing. The candidates screened and that are qualified are Deborah Forte and Kathleen McAndrew. No applicants submitted by January 10th, 2025. Deadline were rejected. This report was prepared by Alice Slaughter, Chair of the Leisure Village Screening Committee, on behalf of the Screening Committee as prescribed by the Leisure Village bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice.
And now I'll have a call for nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations from the floor?
You come up to the mic.
Come up to the microphone and please state who you're nominating.
I nominate Harvey Berman.
Thank you.
Paulette Carini. I guess I say I want to nominate.
Can you say just the unit number?
37E.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Alice Slaughter, 657B Plymouth Drive. I nominate Benji Blakeman.
Laura Perlin, 345A. Nominating Richard Bashari.
I nominate Sue Farrell.
No. All right, the floor nomination qualifications will be verified by the screening committee within 10 days of the meeting. Any candidate who does not meet the qualifications will be disqualified. And if there's no other nominations from the floor, the nominations will be deemed closed.
Thank you. So at this time, I guess the 2 approved candidates can have an opportunity to address the membership at this time. So it would only be the 2 approved. Okay. I'm just reading what I have here.
Phyllis has the application.
Okay.
My name is Kathleen McAndrew.
Bring the microphone.
My name is Kathleen McAndrew. I've lived in the village for 3 years. As we all know, we have problems. And I think we also have a unique opportunity to correct some of those problems. We have 3 and possibly 4 new board members, and we can bring around some definite change.
Excuse me, ma'am, are you a Kennedy?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
We have the opportunity to make some change, and I'm hoping that you'll give me the opportunity to help in that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deborah Forte, and I'm running for the seat on the board of directors of Leisure Village. I'm looking forward to making Leisure Village a better place to live. For those of you who don't know me, my husband and I have lived in Leisure Village since 2016. I believe my background in property management and 40 years of working with condo associations makes me one of the best candidates for the job. I've been on the budget committee for 3 years. I feel the board needs to be more transparent and accessible to the owners. We need to manage the association finances more closely, and we need to listen to the membership and have communication with them. I know what the job entails, and I believe that I have the necessary experience to do the job for the membership. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Sue Farrow, you want to come?
Well, for once, the microphone is at the right height for me. Good morning, everybody. As some of you know, I was a trustee, about 10 years ago, back in the dark ages. Some of you also know that I do get a bit daft when I'm at the microphone. I'm putting myself forward to be on the board again. I feel the experience I had before will help hit the ground running. I've been a member of the community since 2002, so I'm one of the old dears now. I have a good sense of humor. Thank you, John. I'm a retired educator, earth science, environmental science. I'm also had experience in counselling. The only thing I can promise you is that I will do the best that I can, and I will also do the best I can for the community. And I love this community, and what you see is what you get. If you don't like it, don't vote for me. I want London to know as well. I'm an import, no tariffs, okay?
Thanks, Sue. Harvey, would you like to say something?
Hi. I'm Harvey Berman from 156C Gramercy Court, and I'll be running. My background is I worked for British Airways for 37 years, and for 10 of those years I was a chief shop steward, and I represented the members of the union in all British Airways in all of North America. And for 4 years I was involved in negotiations that represented them, so I had to have close relations with those people I represented to find out what their priorities were, and what we could do and what we could trade when it came to representing them at the table with British Airways management. So I feel pretty qualified to represent the people of this village, and I would be proud to. And yes, I am definitely for transparency. As I had read before, in the ethics agreement, it does say claims of privacy and confidentiality shall not be used to impede the proper flow of information to which the owners are legally entitled. So this establishes that there is information that the owners are legally entitled to. And all I did to get myself suspended was make sure they had that. And in fact, the arbiter at the ADR basically saw it my way, but Glenn brings up a good point about the negotiations, but at the ADR, the arbiter, with my testimony and some support from who knew that what I said about the negotiations, which had to do with an amount, was prior to the negotiations actually starting, and the arbiter felt there was absolutely no effect whatsoever, according to the testimony. So, with that said, I think I would be a good candidate, and I hope that you'll vote for me.
Thank you, Warren. Paulette, would you like to come up and say something?
I'm going to turn this around. It's a nice behind. My name is Paulette Carini. Everybody calls me Letty. It's my nickname. My background is I came out of high school as secretary. I worked in every industry in New York City. Banking, brokerage, advertising, you name it, because I wanted to pick my field. And after several years, I ended up in law. I got a ABA-approved paralegal certification, and I worked at that for 40 years. And it taught me a lot about life and how to deal with people. And I think that one of the major problems here is these people, these board members, have as much interest in what goes on here and how it plays out as we do. We all live here, it's our home. I came down here to flip a house, and so I just bought a unit, and when the value of the units went up, I couldn't afford to get another one. So I decided, all right, I don't like the unit, but it's my home now. It's my forever home. And I don't think speaking ill of the place where I live is helpful. We're a community. We're a community of people. We're a society unto ourselves because we're retired. We're not out in the world. And we're not. This is how rude. Anyway, you know, I'm 75. I forget what I was saying. Anyway, my point is, my interest in this community is bringing people together, learning how to speak to one another. And that includes management. Okay, a lot of what we don't like about management is the way they speak to us. And the money flows from us to them, not the other way around. And as far as what I could do on the board, that would be my focus, to make this a community where everybody likes each other again. Make sure that the things that we're entitled to, we get. Make sure that they're done in the right way. Institute, I think, I propose to put together a rule book, because I'm tired of learning by what do you call them? Sandbox rules, that I broke one. Too late, I thought I was okay. No, that's not a rule. All right, well, what about her? Well, that's a rule. And I didn't know that was a rule. So, but, yes, but some of the rules change and we're not told about it. But that's my thing. Oh, I didn't know about that. But mainly, it's to see that our community is presentable to people who come and visit us, that everything works properly. We are a community of 2,400 units, with 2,400 people running those units, with 2,400 different points of view. So not one person can have rules changed for one incident. We have that has to be looked at. How, if there's a consensus, if there's a lot of people the same thing is happening to, let's do something about it. But to come up and start saying, well, we want things done, we all have different problems, but we have to do what's best for the community. And that's all I'm going to say, but I just want everybody to come together and like each other.
Thank you, Paul. Benji, would you like to come up and say something?
Then you have to come down and then...
No, I have to come down.
Next up would be Rich, if you'd like to come up and say something.
Good afternoon, I'm Benji Blackman. I was formerly on the board about 4 or 5 years ago, just briefly filling in to one of the vacant positions. My background is I was an elementary school teacher for about 40 years. I also worked for the union in various capacities, chapter leader, which is the shop steward, on the arbitration committee, on the contract committees and various other union committees. I was also a staff developer for teacher training, and I worked on curriculum development. I do believe, like everybody here said, they want communication, but I also believe in confidentiality, and we do have to find a good balance between getting the members here some information, or as much as we can give them, while maintaining the confidentiality of whatever we are discussing before it's presented at an open meeting. And I do agree that sometimes asking everybody for their ideas before we come to a resolution might be a good idea, because we've done it this past year as well. In working for the village, I've also been on the Personnel and Labor Committee. I just started on the ADR Committee, and I'm working on trying to work with what Optimum gave us as what's left of the CCTV, trying to get information out. So I hope you vote for me, and I will do my best for the community. And thank you.
Thanks so much, Ben. So Richard, you're good? Anybody, do you want to come up?
My name is Richard Boucheri, 348B Dorchester. Thank you for the nomination. I'll carefully consider it. I did run last year, fell a little short of the votes. I wasn't able to speak at the meeting. I wasn't able to zoom in to explain my theories and my views on the board and the community, what it needs and what we should do in the future. I will consider running again, and if I do, I'll get all my paperwork in, and hopefully I can make a speech to you this time and get the proper votes needed to see what we can do around here for everybody's activities, parking situation, whatever we can do to make this a better community. I think we need a little younger input on this, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so congratulations to all the candidates.
I have one question. I have one question to the candidates. Are you really sure you want to do this?
Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.